technology. So welcome everybody. Um, we have two amazing guests here. We had three amazing guests, but we have two amazing guests here today for the Access to Opportunity webinar, how the right partnership opens doors for you and the people that you serve. So Sarah Gonzalez is joining us, and Trisha, I could say I have such a hard time.
Migliato.
Migliazzo. I got to say it with the Italian, like Migliazzo, right?
That's right. You got it.
That's Sicilian in me. So, the spine of this meeting, similar to other webinars we've done, but the spine of this webinar is really about the relationship. So when I look at the partnerships that we have here at the MBA with Lenders One, and we have with TMC, and all our partnerships with our members, but you two specifically are a little bit different. And how are you different? You're different because you two also are trade associations, cooperatives, right? Or cooperative associations who are also have members that are our members, right? And when you look at the nature of that, people are like, "Oh, you're competition, right? You guys compete with each other for business." And Trisha and Sarah, the TMC folks, we always say we're actually not. We complement each other. We do different stuff, right? And we work together collaboratively in partnerships that bring both of us and make new business and make the industry better as a whole. So thought, let's talk about that. Let's talk about opportunities that may not seem like partnerships and share from your perspectives how people can build opportunities and find opportunities that might not necessarily make sense at first until you dive a little bit deeper and you meet people, right? So I'm going to launch a quick poll here. See if I can get my act together today. Sorry, guys. Usually I have Vanita on here helping me. I think Tom might be joining. I see a random Tom.
Hello, hello.
Tom, you're still audio only, buddy, but we're going to take it. And you know what I'm going to do?
That's fine. That works.
I'm going to do something funny, Tom. And maybe it's not funny, but it will be funny
It's
to
all
me.
good. It's all right.
Let's just do this here.
I was trying to be your tech support, Matt.
All right. That's Tom right there. You guys can see Tom. Tom, I got your face up, bud.
Oh, that's good.
You're behind me now.
Well,
so if you guys
it's
hear,
all good. Are you put me up as your screensaver?
Yeah, I did. You are officially in the background, bud.
Perfect.
So we're gonna roll with that. So
it's all right. I dialed in on my phone. I said, forget the laptop. Let's just pivot.
Get it on there. Well, I was telling everyone, like, well, I owe Tom. Now I don't owe you anything, Tom. So we're good. I was telling everybody I owe you something big time. So
it's all good. It's all good.
All right. Normally I have my friend Vanita to help me out here, but she is unable to. So we're going to do a quick kickoff poll while we do some introductions. So got a poll up. How many of you have gotten meaningful business referrals or opportunities from a relationship with a competitor or untapped market? Trisha, I want to give you guys, while they're clicking through that, I want to give each of you 1 minute to introduce yourself in one sentence. Who are you? Who are your members, your customers? And what's the one thing that they get from being a part of your organization that they couldn't build on their own? So Trisha, we're going to start with you, then we're going to go with Sarah, and then Tom, we're going to wrap that intro up with you. Okay.
Okay. Awesome. Great. Well, thank you, Matt, for having me and for putting on this panel for your members. I appreciate you doing this. And let's see. So Trisha Migliazzo, Senior Vice President of Lenders One, pretty much built not to go too far back, but I kind of started in as an ops director back in the day. I was a prospect of Lenders One. Started when Lenders One, when the company actually was formed almost 26 years ago, believe it or not. And then I left Lenders One after about 7 years, and then worked at MBA for about 8 years and ran membership, and that was a lot of fun. Then I came back to Lenders One almost 5 years ago now. But Lenders One is a 26-year-old mortgage cooperative, which is a membership organization. We have about 245 member companies today. Our membership composition, very similar to MBA's, is community banks, independent mortgage banks, credit unions, and then we have again a diverse group of members, different profiles, different origination volumes and channels, etc. And then we also have in our community about 75 plus providers. And our mission is simple. It's 26-year long-standing mission is to help our members cut costs and increase their profitability with the solutions that we provide, whether it's through our own credit agency or, our providers providing discounts. But again, the cooperative approach is taking the aggregate buying power of the group and extending discounts and various services and price points that they couldn't do outside of Lenders One.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much
Collaborative
who we
buying
are.
power, right? That's what you call it.
Aggregate
Collaborative
buying
buying power.
power.
It's like
Yep.
when you what's the what's it like? I don't know. I don't really know. I had an example in my head, but I lost it. We'll move on for timing's sake.
Yep.
Sarah,
Yep.
give us the breakdown. TMC.
All right.
What's your relationship there? You know what I mean? What do you guys do? And what's something that they couldn't do on their own that you guys offer?
Sure. I'm in a pretty unique position here. So, Sarah Gonzalez, Chief Innovation Officer for Logan Finance, 100% non-QM provider in the TPO space. And uniquely enough, I also serve as the chairman of the Lender Member Board of Directors. So TMC, similar to Trisha, is a collaborative co-op that has membership both on the lender side as well as the vendor side, or partnership side is the preferred word we like to use. It's split about 60-40 lender vendor. And one of the things that I love about TMC, I have been members of both Lenders One in the past as well as TMC, and have really grown my relationship with TMC, is that we actually have collab labs where lenders can sign mutual NDAs and sit in a room for however long it's going to take on one of the days at one of our events, and then we periodically check in with each other a year, where we could sit down and really talk about what are industry-wide good things that are happening and how do I get on board with that, and then what are things that are roadblocks, what are the orange cones that we need to kick out of the way as people that are doing business in our industry. So not specifically for Logan, but as a IMB and with other similar IMBs that are funding similar types of volume, what is in our way? How do we knock those cones down? How do we work together to make our industry better?
Perfect. I love it. Yeah, I know it's a great answer. And collaboration, right? Cooperative buying power. You're just like Lenders One, just like MBA and TMC, or you guys at TMC, or you guys are pulling people together from all different aspects of this industry, which makes what we do cool, right? So,
Yep.
Tom, the voice from the other side, give us a breakdown. Freddie Mac, right?
Yep.
Give us a breakdown of who you are, what they do. I mean, I think people
Yep.
know that one, but what they
Well-
do, and what's something they couldn't do on their own that you guys specialize in.
Sure. So thank you, Matt, for the opportunity. My name is Tom Smith, and I'm with Freddie Mac. I hope you've heard of us. I'm in business development as an account executive. I've been here for about 12 years. I stopped quoting how many years I've been in the business because the numbers started really scaring me. So I'll just say that I spent half of my career in the primary market, the other half in the secondary market, and we'll leave it at that. As far as what one thing I think lenders can get from us that they can't get most other places is just access to subject matter expertise. Whether or not, so I work in business development, so I work a lot with non-sellers and try and convince them that they want to start doing business with us. But for those of you who are already sellers of ours, you know that your account teams have incredible resources on their team, whether or not it's technology related, operational efficiencies, pricing, advanced technology, and anything like that. You always have access to subject matter experts at Freddie Mac. And we take a very hand-holding experience from a new seller perspective. We've had a lot of success onboarding a lot of new, smaller lenders, credit unions, small community banks, et cetera, over the last 4 years I've been in this particular role. So I think that's probably it, just access to subject matter experts.
I love it. I love it. And you're right? I mean, all these big companies, the membership that we work with, they have experts that work there. But the cool thing is about reaching out to your partners, like a Lenders One, like a TMC, like a Freddie, like an MBA, is that we have a whole host of other experts that when you're part of us, we can share that information with you, right? We're giving information all the time. In fact, that's why we're having a webinar. We're giving information away. And that's power in that partnership. And everybody kind of tagged on that. So it's good. So let's get right into it. Thank you guys. Thank you for being here. We have more people coming in. So if I seem distracted, I apologize. I'm trying to let them in as I see them. But I want to open this one up for Sarah first. You wear a pretty unique hat. You're both the CINO at Logan, and you're also the TMC board member. Like, where do you see lenders missing opportunities to collaborate with each other, especially in areas where they're facing the same challenges, right? Like, where are you seeing the opportunities that they're maybe not taking advantage of that they should be?
I think this question can be answered twofold. One, from a lender perspective, there's still the competitive advantage, right? That people want to have. They want their edge. They don't want, trade secrets, all those types of things that we have to kind of follow the rules around, right?
Yep.
So, publicly traded companies are not going to be sharing secrets. They're not going to be having, you're not going to have a rocket sitting in a collab lab that's talking about, what they're doing on their side. And so there are, I would say, some disadvantages around, hey, some of the people that maybe have figured it out don't have the opportunity because of where they're positioned within the marketplace. But I would also say, I know you didn't ask me this question, but there is a missed opportunity on the vendor side. I spent 3 days last week at two different conferences, both AI related, and I saw a lot of tech demos. I saw a lot of the same product by different companies. And I think one of the things that was challenging is that while the products seem really great on the surface level, it was like, man, I wish they would have called me, or I wish they would have interacted with some lenders that actually do this kind of business and do some more troubleshooting, maybe do a client experience forum where they can bring, even prospective clients or even current clients, if they're expanding a product, bring them together to make a better product that would suit the industry versus doing things that are specific to one client, so to speak. So
Yeah.
I do think there's a missed opportunity for lenders to provide valuable feedback into technology solutions. I'm in a unique position because I do serve as a CNO, but I mean, 28 years of my experience has been an operator, right?
Yeah.
And that's I think what makes me really good at my job. But at the same time, I feel like there's missed opportunity out there when we're developing, things that are supposed to make, at the end of the day, the consumer costs go down,
Yeah.
right? There needs to be a lot of thought leadership and a lot of collaboration across the aisle to make sure that those products are sustainable and actually meet the required need. And the other thing I'll end with is that of what I saw, build versus buy is always a question.
Yeah.
And once you build something, whether you're doing it internally for yourself or you're doing it for somebody else on a buy, you're behind the minute you go live. You're already behind. So how do we get those forward thinkers, those people that are already kind of building those roadmaps behind the scenes,
Yeah.
to make for a better marketplace for all of us to work out of?
That is a good opportunity, right? It's a good point. How do we collaborate more and drop the fear? I think there's a general fear of if you collaborate with your enemy, then you're going to be giving away trade secrets. You're going to be giving away the goose, so to speak, and you're not going to have a competitive edge. And I personally, I've always thought like competitive edges are important. But at the same time, if you can uplift everybody and make everybody better, through certain actions, you're going to do better. They're going to do better. We need to focus less on that competitive edge. We're going to have other things, but technology, to your point, right? The AI aspect of things, it's important that we're driving solutions that are going to serve the greater good of the entire industry. So I think that's a great point, Sarah. Trisha, same question really for
Yeah.
you. Where are you seeing some missed opportunities in the marketplace that lenders should just be working to collaborate with each other on? Where could
Oh,
they be driving
absolutely.
business in a better way?
Well, like Sarah said, I mean, there's so much great brain power. I mean, if you look at just, our industry colleagues across the board, whether it's at a, lender member company or providers, there's just so much great brain power and insights that we really should leverage and tap into. And, I know MBA does this very well with your policy committees and working groups. I know TMC, I know Sarah just mentioned the collab labs. We too have networking groups, peer groups, and we kind of segment them on different topics such as leadership technology, operations, legal compliance, capital markets. I think members should really take advantage of those groups that we all offer. I'm not sure if Freddie Mac has, working groups similarly, But that's really where a lot of the brain power, a lot of the insights, that's where a lot of the magic happens.
Yeah.
They just really need to be intentional about participating because when they do participate, then they love it. And then
Well,
they learn so much
yeah.
from each other. And
And
we
they get
just,
something from it.
yeah,
And they
and
and
we
they
create those platforms for them. That's exactly right.
yeah.
Yeah. I
And
think
and
those
it's
are
funny because
missed opportunities.
I have that same conversation with leaders all the time. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, what's the old saying? If you don't vote, you can't complain, right? When it comes to politics. But I think that goes a long way with too participating in industry events. And this isn't like a hard pitch for them, but if you are looking for that collective brain power and collaboration, you're right, Trisha. Those are great opportunities that you're a member of some organization, whether it be a state, a local, a different trade
Right.
association that
Right.
serves the industry. Join those committees, right?
Yeah.
Join those little mini think tanks, as I like to think about it, because you're going to have a say, but you're also going to hear and you're going to sit back
Right.
and listen and learn something. So I think that's a good opportunity for people. You're right. Participation within the industry goes in a lot of different directions. I think leaders have I don't know if have a responsibility, but I'd like to say that to those things so that they can be heard and their that
Right.
collective brain power can be applied in the right direction. So that's good.
And
And
socialize it to other members like
yeah,
of your organization, not just, the leadership, like
right.
throughout the roster.
Yeah. You'll
Yeah.
never know when that future leader who might be a superstar genius is sitting in operations somewhere and they're a big future thinker. But if you never bring him into the fold, how do you know? Right. If you don't give them that opportunity and they don't know how to get there half the time. So, Tom, you sit in a different seat, right? Freddie Mac does. Freddie Mac sits in a different seat altogether. You are very different than than all three of us in this group because of what you do. You know, what does that view look like from where you are? And what opportunities do you see that a lender might, you know, not get or improved seller might not have visibility into? Like they might not be able to see it, but it's sitting there as an opportunity to collaborate and partner and to join up.
Sure. Good question, Matt. And let me get this out before I forget it later. I've had the opportunity to join both the Lenders One and a TMC session or conferences, and I have to say they both do an excellent job of bringing in their members and having sessions where they don't have vendors in the room and they allow the members to talk about things that maybe they wouldn't share in front of vendors. So I've been very impressed with the fact that you guys both do that because, let's face it, to your point, if the business wants a particular thing, they're going to be far more forthcoming with some of their needs than they might be if a vendor was in the room. So anyway, that
Right.
being said,
I agree.
yes, Tricia, we do have work groups. We have different, servicing related work groups. We have, credit policy type work groups, all the things that are very important in this industry. I think last time I checked, I think we maybe have 1,400, 1,500 lender partners. And we do I think, a pretty darn good job of making sure that we're listening to them in various arenas. Whether or not we capture feedback from somebody that said something on a call with their account team, we capture that in our Salesforce system and start, kind of rolling those types of things up so that management can see a summary of what's latest sentiment that we're getting from small lenders, larger lenders, medium-sized lenders. So I think that's critical. Always wanting to listen to our customers. From a business development, from a new seller perspective, one of the things that I've always found surprising is, let's face it, we already do business with a lot of medium and large lenders already. So most of the folks that we've been dealing with over the last 4 years have been smaller, but I've always been surprised at how much easier they found the process to be. They always thought that, oh my God, you're going to need to have all kinds of, information about me and criminal background checks and all that other stuff.
Blood
But,
type.
yeah, right, exactly. Blood type, shoe size, etc. But they're surprised at how much easier the process is, and that sometimes they think they have to go out and hire a consultant just to be able to apply to become a seller with us. And that
Yeah.
is absolutely not the case. So we do a pretty decent job, I think, of hand holding them, making sure. And, we work at their pace. Sometimes people take a little while to make decisions, right? Especially some of the smaller lenders. I worked with some that I've had them in my nurture category, if you will, for maybe 2 years. And that's fine. Sometimes they need to get their board of directors, on board a little bit better, and that's perfectly fine. So that's from a new business development standpoint. One of the things I've been always very impressed with, I sat next to an account team up until maybe 2 months ago, and I could overhear some of the conversations that their technology managers would have with their lender partners, and they point out things that lenders didn't necessarily know. For instance, they have some reporting that they go over and say, well, did you know that these 8 loans that you submitted to Loan Product Advisor could have been eligible for our Home Possible program? For those of you who aren't familiar with that, it's our affordable lending, and
Yeah.
it allows the borrower to have a slightly better rate or less cost up front. And sometimes I hope you all are sitting down. Sometimes salespeople don't always listen, and or maybe they don't follow the right procedures. I know it's shocking, but it's true.
They rush.
And
What?
they did on occasion they might rush, and they didn't necessarily indicate something on the application that would have allowed their borrower to earn or to get a much better price. So our team, through the reporting that we get, point those things out to them, or they point out the fact that you could have gotten an appraisal waiver if you had just done this by submitting the loan, that kind of stuff. So it's those types of things that we point out, and we're not divulging any other lenders' secrets or anything. This
Yeah.
is all based on data that we get from all the reports. If they're interested in finding out what the best in class is in their particular, size shop,
Yeah.
we can tell them, hey, guess what? You guys are getting close to be right in sync with the best in class in terms of using automated income or automated asset, operational efficiency type benefits and programs. So, we help them get to that point so that they can be, par for the course of where they should be, and make sure that they're not left behind. Don't um, don't restrict yourself in being able to give borrowers the types of things that they want in the way that they want them.
Yeah, I think to wrap it up for that, it's don't be afraid to ask questions and don't assume that your potential partner is too unaffordable or not going to offer the services that you might not understand they offer, or that they're not a right fit for you without having a conversation, right?
Right.
And that comes to every piece of this. Like I go back to a story when I was young mortgage loan officer, because I'm not young anymore, Tom, right? I'm officially
Yes,
past
you are.
young. I can't win young professional awards, so that means now I'm just an elder. But when I was a young loan officer, my biggest referral partner across the platform, now one of my best friends, but my biggest referral partner was my actual direct competition in the market. He's another loan officer. He called on the same realtors, right? We had worked the same counties. We had the same, very similar products, but I liked him. He's a good guy. And I wanted to figure out how to do business with him, not against him. Funny enough, people always called him Matt and me Bill, and they had our lives completely backwards because we look so much alike. So we're like, how do we make this work for us? You're my competitor, right? We're talk shop. But what do you do that I don't? We sat down and we had conversations about how we could share referral partners, how we could share other pieces of this industry, and what do I specialize in compared to what he does? What does his company have better rates for than what I do? And be confident to pass those customers off, right? Those referral partners, to make that suggestion. It's that deepening of the relationship by asking questions, by having that conversation. How do I become a seller? How do I become an approved seller with Freddie Mac? A lot of them assume that it's too much work, like you said, Tom, but you have a conversation. It's actually a lot easier than you think, right? So I think that's my key there is that don't be afraid to ask questions and start a conversation. It goes back to everything in this industry. Have a conversation. Don't assume things. That's not always a good thing. And sometimes I need to be constantly reminded of that. Life lessons every day, Trisha. That's usually what comes down to me. But all right, let's move this on because we're at the half an hour mark. We're doing okay. I'm gonna go out of order in my thought process here a little bit, but I wanna jump, Trisha. One of the things I've liked about Lenders One and a lot of the organizations, the way you guys are set up, is you put collective buying power behind a lot of our independent shops. I think that's a good thing. That's something that not every industry has, right? But what does it do to a room when people realize that they're stronger together than separately? Like, how have you watched that pan out in real time?
Yes. Um, I think it kind of goes along with what I was saying initially that, we see that magic happen when that brain power
Yeah.
kind of is together, with the platforms that we create, such as like our executive roundtables, where, um, you know, they're talking about, costs and, it's all proprietary, right? As
Yeah.
Sarah was saying earlier. But they're talking about, we want parity across the board and how
Yeah.
do we get there and how are you doing this way? But you see these aha moments when this
Yeah.
collective brain power gets together at our roundtables or in these peer sessions, and they talk about their challenges. And, there's immediate solutions just with ID sharing and all their insights. And I think members genuinely want to help each other
Yeah.
in all areas of the business, and it's so gratifying to watch. But we get unsolicited feedback all the time that they really have benefited from it in so many ways when they're sitting next to their competition and
Yeah.
they're giving them a solution, or we tried this particular LOS or this POS and we spent X number of dollars, and they're really helping each other because it really is a tough market.
Yeah.
um, and you know it's they really need to leverage each other, but it's it's really gratifying.
I
So
had it. I want to echo that because I had a really similar experience. So I'm newer to the NBA. I'm like 1.5, a little over 1.5 years in. And I'd never been to a PGR roundtable. I'm
yeah.
sure you sat through one in your time here. Sarah, I don't know. Have you been to a PGR roundtable? I know there was someone from Logan at ours, the one I was at, but I knew it wasn't you, obviously. But so PGR roundtables are peer group roundtables.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to do a hard plug, but I'm echoing that aha moment. So I'm sitting in a room with the CEOs of a bunch of non-QM lenders, these peer group roundtables. To much, Trisha, to your point, is that they're sharing.
Yeah.
And I texted Laura Hopkins when I was like sitting there and I'm like, I can't believe how open everyone's being.
Yeah.
I can't believe that there's this general desire to share, not ego trips, but share to better everybody else. And I was in an industry that's often rather cutthroat when you look at it, right, from like a lender broker, like, okay, got to get the loan from this one and I'm going to undercut pricing by this to get that. These executives were just like, this is how we fixed that problem. This is how we addressed that. And I'm just like, holy goodness, people are leaving with value. Like they're leaving here better. And I would have never have imagined that went on at that level because growing up in the industry as a loan officer, other than my friends and my philosophies, I didn't see a lot of that, right? I didn't see a lot of like the frenemies in the industry helping collaborate to work to make things better. So I thought that was amazing, Trisha. I think you're right. That aha moment where you're like, this is where we can sit together and have real dialogue and have real conversations to make things change. So yeah, I agree 100%. Those moments are special when you get to see them, right?
Oh my
Like
God.
that.
I will say this real quick because I think this is important. One of the simplest, easiest questions that anybody can answer, and people cannot wait to answer. We go around the room and we're like, what's the one thing that you did for your organization that made it super successful? Like, what was the best thing you did this year and or year to date or whatever that is? And everyone's like, oh my gosh, like aha moments, writing things down, like, oh my gosh, I need to get that from you. Share that resource, whatever it is. And you're right. Everybody just wants to help each other.
Yeah, it's
So
it's
great.
actually cool, like to see. So,
Yeah.
Sarah, you're both. You get this from a lot of perspectives in your seat where you're sitting right now because you're both a lender. You're on the TMC board. Like, what surprised you the most when you became involved with a community where competitors were openly sharing practices? Like, can you echo a lot of what Trisha and I said, or is there something like a nugget you can add from a
I
perspective of your
mean,
own? You have a
if I
unique
go,
one.
yeah, I mean, if I can go back, I actually started with Lenders One and then got involved. But I think that initial moment, like where you sit down and you're like looking at all these people that you've never met before, it's almost like it's almost like we don't give each other permission to say it's okay.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're like sitting in the seat going, oh my God, what if I say this? Or what if I say that? And oh my gosh, am I going to get my hand slapped? Does somebody know my CEO? Are they going to tell, like there's
Yeah.
this overall fear of how much can I share? right? You're not your company is signing a mutual NDA on your behalf, right? Your legal counsel is, you're not personally. So I think one of the things that I kind of had to grow out of was really empower the position that I had been put in, right? To sit at these tables and be able to provide the feedback that Trisha was talking about, where you have these aha moments and people are feeding off of these ideas of like, oh, I thought about doing that, but like I was scared to do it. Like, how did it go for you? So I think fear is the initial set in, right? If you're not already doing this today, I would say don't be fearful, right?
Yeah.
Jump in with both feet. We all learn how to swim one way or another. Learn how to swim with the rest of the group. And then I would say as those relationships grow over time, one, you'll learn to cherish them outside of whatever co-op you're a part of, whether you're part of one or the other or both.
Yeah.
And I think the responsibility part of that is that you have to make sure that you're going deeper within your organization and that you're not always the pinpoint person that's going. So how do you invite others from your organization to now attend these things and take the reins from you and learn how to not have that fear? So it's very secular in relation to how you start and how you end. And the more that you can kind of get out of that cycle of fear and really just empower up front through responsibility as being a senior leader and joining these things, the better off not only the co-ops will be, but your companies will be, and they'll be prepared as high potentials for your leadership tables internally within your own organizations.
Man, that sings to my heart, because seriously, one of my offbeat questions that I just came to my head. It's like, how do we do it? I don't know. We're all smart people. Like, how do we get like the executives to start spreading it down? Because when I was a lender, the one thing I wanted to do is be in that room, hear what's going on, learn, grow. And it was the hardest like leap to go over. Like, as within a company, it's how do I get to that next step, or how do I get into that room? And to your point, Sarah, it's like you need leaders to bring you with them, right? Like, how do we encourage more of that, Sarah? How, like, Tom, Trisha, somebody give me the silver bullet for that. Like, how do we pull them up by the bootstraps? Be like, involve the next generation, because you're not going to be here forever. Because that is a pain point for me.
I mean, I will tell you really quick, Tom, I know you got something to say here. I mean, I've done my own research for other reasons. The average age for a woman to get into an executive role is 56 to 57. By then, it's too late. You should be involving him or her way earlier in the process, right? And that's why I'm really passionate about making sure that, I know we're talking about partnerships here, but really it's the responsibility of the person showing up to make sure others are showing up as well.
That is a partnership, though. Like your partnership with your staff and bringing them along and finding those unique. I'm just throwing that as a thread. I don't actually know. I'm just saying, like, it is a partnership, though. And you want your staff to be pulled up, and you got to bring them along, because you never know when you expand their network, how much more your network expands and how many more partnerships you can bring in, because they relate to somebody that you might not have related to at an organization, right? You can compound your network out. That's just my 2 cents on it. But Tom, did you have something to add to it?
Yeah, I did. My suggestion would be, don't be afraid to get outside your normal networks. For instance, maybe it was almost 20 years ago, I decided to volunteer at my local Habitat for Humanity in Frederick County, Maryland. And I enjoyed it so much that I ended up at my prior employer coordinating and collaborating and organizing a trip to Biloxi, Mississippi to work on what's called a blitz build. And I was able to get 50 volunteers between my local Habitat for Humanity and my prior employer to go down to Biloxi. And we spent a week on what's called a blitz build, where I think it was Oprah Winfrey had donated a boatload of money to build 10 homes on one street that was significantly damaged and destroyed by Hurricane Katrina. And you talk about getting, whether it's executive levels or whatever, if you're swinging a hammer next to somebody, they're no different level than you are. If you're helping put siding up on a house or whatever, it's just an incredible opportunity to get to know people outside of the normal hierarchical type of thing. So don't be afraid to go into the ancillary. You don't always have to just network within your company. You should always be networking. Networking and nurturing relationships should be a lifelong pursuit, and it will just benefit you until you're no longer here. I mean,
Yeah.
it's that simple.
So they call it the golden rule of influence or something. I don't know if I just made that up, but I read it somewhere where it's, outside of your box is the only way to grow. Yeah, you got to replant the pot or repot the plants in order for it to spread new leaves. I'll throw a bunch of those around. There's a bunch of them out there, but no, good point. So Trisha, I want you to tell me a story. I like stories. I feel like it's story time. And it doesn't have to be for Lenders One. This can be from your entire career because, I always try to tell people you're more than the place you work, right? Like you're a collection of time in the industry. So like, tell me about a member who came in skeptical to you, right? Or a person or a client. Like, what do you think they were protecting and what changed? How did you help them grow so that you guys could grow as a partnership?
Yeah. Good example, which is top of mind. I was working with an executive, a lender member leader out of, well, not at the time, out of New York. And I don't know if it's just kind of a Northeast thing.
We're weird.
Sorry. I know you're New England, but it's still kind of Northeast, right?
Yeah.
And they're very kind of skeptical, I think, in general, compared to the Midwest, Southwest-ish, because I've kind of worked multiple, obviously, geographies, but and they're out, they kind of think there's a catch. Like, are you sure? Like, what do you got for me? This is a catch? Like, what's the catch here? Like, that kind of mindset. And I worked with this gentleman for like 2 years, and I just said, hey, this is what we do. This is the value proposition. And I was showing him, some really compelling savings. And, I finally said, just come to our event, right? Come to Summit and, have the experience so you could really see it in action and, and the networking and how people are sharing everything that we're talking about, right? And what that all looks like. But the experience mattered to him. And he was just sold as soon as he came. He's like, I had no idea this was really how it works because, everything's been so close to the vest. And wow, I just listened, as Sarah was saying, like people just kind of weren't sure. They were a little fearful how much they could share, but he listened and he really understood the experience. And then all the savings was kind of like secondary, but he had to really experience it. And again, just following up, having conversations. Timing is everything just for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then he finally was like, wow, I had no idea. I never knew. I'm sold. But I had to really get him to participate and have the experience of, the partnership.
That's one of those things that I call you won the heart and then the mind, right?
Yeah.
And when you're looking at sales and that you just said exactly experience.
Yeah.
Because you engaged with them over a long period of time. And through experience, you won his heart. And that everything else, the savings, all that stuff, it matters.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter because the experience won his heart, which then opened up his mind to look at all of that stuff and say, you know what, Trisha? Yeah. I get everything you were saying now.
But they have this skeptical mindset, right? Until they're really understanding it. And sometimes people are sold just having a conversation on the phone or whatever, via Teams or whatever that looks like. But others, give them the opportunity to have the experience.
Yeah. Us New Englanders are skeptical creatures. It's dark like 9 months out of the year. Just kidding. We don't have enough sunlight, so we live in caves. Give us a break, Trisha. Give us a break. Tom, you guys. One of the things I think that's unique about bringing Freddie into this conversation is that you guys see patterns from across the whole seller base, right? How does Freddie leverage what it sees amongst its sellers to help those newer, less experienced people when we're talking about experience and we're talking about that giving of knowledge? Like how are you guys doing that from your perspective that's different?
Yeah, from a current seller standpoint, it's really all about the account teams that support them, whether or not they're technology managers or whatever. They have a regular cadence of calls with their lenders to kind of go over some of their operational metrics and those types of things and help them out, even if it's a matter of training them specifically or getting their loan officers trained better than they had been trained before. Once they realize that something that they could do differently might end up making them a little bit more money, they of course perk up a little bit and kind of get the idea that they want to increase that type of activity. But it's all about making sure people don't have time to hear all about the things that they're missing out on. So the fact that they're able to focus on some things right there that's proven by the data, it really helps open up operationally. Even the management that joins those calls. Oh, still there?
Yeah, we're here, buddy.
Okay. I'm not sure.
We can hear you.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Something was just weird on my iPhone. Anyway, no, it's all about just sharing that information and showing them how to get there.
Gotcha. No, I think again that's the experience piece Trisha was talking about, right? And it speaks to all the other stuff we've been talking about. Ask the questions, broach the subjects, approach people, look deeper, look to your competitors, look to deeper pieces, right? Win their hearts, then their minds. It's all about the old tradition of we've all lived our lives here of meet people where they are and treat people like people, network, grow one-on-one, face-to-face, build a relationship. It's a relationship industry. And that's what your account teams are doing, right? They're building relationships and they're driving those relationships. They're creating the experience and they're giving those people that deeper meaning to spread it out, right? And to help them grow through knowledge of how other people are growing. Something that's great. Sarah, this last big question for you. And you're going to sell it. I know you're going to drive this home. I just know it in my heart that we're going to get there. But, you've been in the industry a couple of years. You've had a couple of roles from operations to you're being in the casino. Tell me about a connection or a conversation that you've had personally that's led to really meaningful business. What is something that gave you maybe a strategic idea that exploded, that was like transformational? Or, as simple as an operational improvement. I'm going to give you the whole spectrum of things that you can pull from on this one. So,
well, I saved this one just for this call. So,
there we go. Oh, I feel
it brings L1, Freddie Mac, and TMC all together in one story.
You left me out.
I'm sorry. I was already friends with you when this happened. So, about 10 years ago, I had started at a company that I had made a move from one company to another. The company was a Lenders One partner. I had attended my first Lenders One conference. It was an amazing event. I was again, overwhelmed to some degree. And Lenders One's done a lot of changes since then. So it was a little bit different experience, but went to that conference and I was kind of on a conference role. I was going from one to one to one, representing this new company. And Tom, I ended up finding myself at a Freddie Mac conference, which was a risk related conference that I went to. And I was coming up an escalator, and lo and behold, sitting in the chair, as first person I see as I'm coming up the escalator is Rich Swerbinsky, who at the time was running TMC. He's calling my name, Sarah, Sarah, Sarah. I'm like, who knows my name here? Nobody knows my name here. And I turn around and it's Rich. And he's like, I have been trying to get a hold of you for weeks now. And I had to come to this conference to track you down. And the whole reason why he wanted to track me down was to sell me on a relationship with TMC.
Naturally.
And TMC, right? So this is what we all do, right? We all work, we all sell, we're always doing something, right? And, I think about the day that I met him and where I was then in my career from a personal standpoint and where I am today. It is truly meaningful to say that the right people come in your life at the right time to present you with the right opportunities just when you need them. And so while we maintained both cooperative relationships, I grew within the TMC network as somebody that became known for expertise in operations. I was able to use the relationship to help leverage cost per loan, like managing expenses and looking at the partners I was doing business with. So it was a meaningful conversation and a meaningful relationship outside of just getting this wonderful career opportunity to kind of go through the ranks, be on panels, learn how to really speak into public, learn how to be kind of get my name out there, right? And they're doing that for everybody. Trisha's doing that through Lenders One. We're doing it through TMC. I'm sure Freddie Mac is doing it with their own conferences. But when you talk about a meaningful experience, it was kind of all together, right? I was able to make operational changes by having these opportunities to talk to other people in these co-op meetings, or I'm sorry, collab lab meetings, and figure out, okay, remember all when something happened to us, we're like, is this the only thing that happens to me or does this happen to everybody, right? You
Yeah.
really get the opportunity to kind of figure that out. You get to help drive, expense and revenue in a way that you haven't before, because not necessarily because people are telling you what it costs or anything like that, but you get deals, right? Working with some of these cooperative partners. And then I would say personally, it gave me a platform to really grow my personal brand, as well as my professional brand, which has benefited me very well. It's one of the starting places that, MBA was able to bring me in as kind of a BPO SME at some point. I talked on a few of those. Trisha probably remembers those from back in the day, but you never know when you have a relationship with somebody where it's going to take you. So take that phone call that you didn't want to take, because I didn't want Rich chasing me around Freddie Mac trying to get me to do business with another partner. But take that call, right? Take that call. Be curious, especially when you sometimes have to kind of measure, do I really need this? Is this a nice to have or a need to have, right? So, use your spidey senses, do all those things that you're supposed to do. But I'm so grateful for taking that call, meaning that it was an in-person, like tap on the shoulder call. But still, I'm so grateful for giving him the time of day to kind of walk me through that, because I feel like life for me today would be very different if I didn't take that call with him. So I have a lot of stories like that. A lot of people that have tapped me on the shoulder. So I'm not leaving anyone out, but that one just hit home with this particular webinar, that it's like, at the end of the day, here are the four of us sitting with all these other people in a place where we were all really connected just a short 8 years ago.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. My Ed Miller, I'm sure you guys all know Ed. Ed Miller, good friend of mine now. He called me the other day about a connection of a connection of a connection, and he was telling me about this story about how he met somebody at a conference like 2 weeks ago, nicest person in the world. And somebody was like, well, why are you spending so much time? I forget the exact context of it. He's like, because him and I were like, we got to this point where we're like, you never know. Like, Sarah, I meet you at a conference. You may be able to make absolutely no impact on my business, right? But there's somebody that I can serve that and vice versa. And that network can compound through that, right? So I love the always take the call or take the tap on the shoulder in your thing, because I think that's a great point. Never be afraid to ask, grow that network, share your knowledge, right? Win their heart, win their mind. We've gotten some good nuggets today. I'm liking it. So all three of you are partners of mine in some way, shape, or form. Sarah actually is. Tom and I are just friends, but he's an MBA partner. And Trisha is, Trisha and Lenders One and MBA have been together for a while. So from your organizational perspective, like, where do you see the pieces fit together? I've wondered this because, Brad and I were talking the other day, Trisha, and he said to me, everyone thinks we're competitors. And I'm like, we're not, we're partners and we do things a little different, right? Tom, this one isn't so much for you, but I think you can apply to it. But like, where do you see the pieces fitting together, right? What do your members get from our partnerships? And I'm not trying to sell us all. What I'm trying to do is show the compounding effects of partnerships. So like, that's really what I'm trying to show here. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trisha, well, oh, Tom, we'll start with you, buddy, because I know what yours
Yeah.
is. Just kidding.
Well, I'd like to maybe surprise you then, Matt.
Oh, let's do it.
I know that, yeah, I know that we actually have a more official partnership with the MBA, I think this year to help
Yep.
loan officers that are maybe new to the business learn all about loan product advisors. So I'm not
Yep.
trying to, whatever,
You're
but,
right.
you guys have a, kind of an award-winning type of education and training curriculum, right?
Yep.
So we partnered up with you guys to help get these new folks that are, getting into the business, make sure they understand the types of tools and applications that are available to them to help make them and their companies money. So, I think the more that people just never stop being curious and learning what's out there. I've been in this business a long time and I still learn something new every day. And I find that to be very, exhilarating. And I hope to always learn something new every day. But, it's all about just keeping asking questions. I think Trisha and Sarah were talking about that. And, keep on learning.
Yeah. Trisha,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we've been doing partners for a long time. I mean,
Oh, for
what does that
years.
collaboration look like for your members? What do they get in this partnership?
Yes. Well, I mean, gosh, longtime partnership with MBA. MBA is our policy and advocacy arm, and we really believe that it's imperative to participate and to support. You guys are like powerhouse on housing policy with Pete and team, and
Yeah.
we always have supported the work that you all do, and we think it's super important. And it complements what we do, right?
Yeah.
Because we're hyper focused on, helping our members cut costs. And
Yep.
so who doesn't want to cut costs, right? Look at Marina's data recently. I mean, that just came out. It's still almost $11,000, right, to produce a loan, which eats into the net production income,
Yep.
per loan. So it's complements each other. So if we can help your members cut costs and we can promote all the policy and advocacy work that you all do because we think it's imperative to participate and be knowledgeable and support it all, whether it's through Mom, Warpack, your membership, and we have discounts for your members, and I know you guys have discounts for our members. So
Yep.
it's really us supporting each other because we believe in
Yep.
what we provide and how
And,
we
and that
serve the industry.
Yeah, and I think it shows, right? Because again, going back to like your competitors, you guys, yeah, everybody has to buy a membership, right? Like it costs money to do business in general, but and membership costs money, and being it costs money. That's business, but that's
Yeah.
not the point. When you collaborate and you work together, you can drive new channels of business, save people money, bring in new connections that you may have never had, and you play in your strength of your lane. Right. And going back to my Billy story, my lender, we did different stuff, but we found ways to tie it together, to work together, to make a relationship better for everybody. And I think partnerships do that. So Sarah, TMC, as far as what's something that, a collaboration, between our groups can really bring to your membership that they may not have gotten if we didn't collaborate together.
Yeah, I'm going to start with Logan first, if you don't mind.
Yeah, start with
Again,
Logan.
100% non-QM, but our relationship with you guys, with the MBA, has strengthened because, again, you're open to possibilities. There was no non-agency forum with MBA, and guess what? Now there is. So those that are, the landscape, right? And we have to be able to, like I said, change with it and be able to talk about it, even when it's difficult to talk about it. So one, thank you for your, just MBA in general, for helping us put that together, because I think that was a very important part of our business. And then from a TMC standpoint, again, I think you guys are always willing to collaborate with us on several different fronts, whether it's advocacy, We do have our own advocacy committee, but you guys are very closely tied to that. We want to make sure that we're listening to our members, but at the same time, very closely aligned with the MBA. So there's a lot of kind of behind the scenes strategizing around that, as well as participation in conferences and working with our members on making sure that if they're not a member, that there's ways to become an MBA member and being able to give that value proposition to them in a way that suits them. Not every IMB is created equally. We're all different.
Not every bank is.
Not every bank is created, not every credit union, whatever. Yeah. We're not all created equally. And I think you guys do a really good job of, providing value proposition for people, not in a way that is not a one size fits all manner, right? So you're able to look at them independently and decide, hey, what is the best way to approach membership with the MBA? And I think we look at things like that from a TMC perspective as well. So.
Oh, I agree 100%. And I will say the one thing that I find is that we give each other space. And it sounds funny, right? Like, what do you mean space? Like we're breaking up? No, we give each other space within our own collectives and collaborations. And it's imperative when we want to keep an industry cohesive and connected that, Lenders One is always giving MBA space to operate within their space, TMC, and vice versa. We're always inviting you guys to operate within our space to share that collective power, because the underlying element of it is that we know that you guys do good work, just like my competitor Bill did good work. And we want to make sure that we're uplifting the entire industry. We're using our membership power, right, of all of our collective members of the MBA, and we're making sure that they know about the collective buying power of the collaboratives out there, and they know what those pieces bring, right, and what may fit you better. So I think that space thing is important when you're talking about relationships. So I always like to give my friends space, and when in my life, right, my network, my people, space in my life. So I always go back to that word space, because everyone always thinks it's distance. Distance is a different word than being part of my space. So all right, we're over. We're way over. We're going over. We still have people hanging out. I'm going to launch a quick poll as we go through. I launched these polls because they're important to get feedback. Oh, by the way, it was almost 71% of the people who voted in our initial poll said that they have gotten business from a competitor. I like that. That makes me happy, because I don't see it enough. And 29% said not yet. So that's interesting. Hopefully you guys will start seeking out your competitors and trying to find those common threads, because honestly, it does make a big difference. But there's a little quick six questions here for you guys to answer just about today. If you found it helpful, the content, suggestions for future content might not happen tomorrow or the next one, but I do really care about what you guys want to learn about. Do you guys want to open it up to the audience, or do you want me to do you want to do your last little tidbit nuggets of power questions at the end? Leave it up to you guys.
Open it up to the audience.
All right. We'll see if they have any questions, and if they don't, I'll ask you the power questions, and we'll just entertain them while they fill out the poll. So anybody want to unmute, and do you have any questions for any of our experts on creating partnerships and maybe seemingly unconventional spaces? Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes people are only listening and they're not on audio. That's a new thing today, Tom, too, by the way. Half of the people on here are audio only. That is new. That's never happened. And I need to Sarah's point, ask the ChatGPT later on why that's happening, because interaction is usually much higher, but when they can't talk and everything is literally grayed out on them, that's not helpful. So,
Correct.
All right. So I'm going to skip to your power question. Tom, somebody's sitting here and they're on the relationship fence. What's the first move that they should do tomorrow to get over the hump of going after that maybe unconventional collaboration or piece?
I think simply just to, don't be shy, pick up the phone or send an email, ask the question. To your point earlier, Matt, if you just don't be afraid to ask and get that conversation started. We're not, people think Freddie Mac is there to like find something you did wrong or that we're going to audit all of your loans or whatever the case is. We put our pants on one leg at a time, et cetera, and just ask the question. We can figure out how we can help you. If you're not a seller, if you're a seller, then you already have accountant team relationships. So, we just want an opportunity to continue earning your business. And if we haven't earned it yet, then we want the opportunity to do so. So just make that first call.
All right, Sarah, how do you open up a conversation? Well, maybe, yeah. How do you open up a conversation with someone who serves the same clients as you do? Let's say Tom Davis is sitting here and I'm not saying you guys are fierce competitors, but it's a competitive market. Actually, non-QM lenders are some of the most socially collaborative people I've ever met, which is the crazy part. You're like a crazy, it's awesome, but at the same time, it was weird when I was getting into it. But let's say that your competitor's sitting in the room. What's the first? How do you open up the sentence? What's the line that hooks them? What do you think?
Yo, dude. No, I'm kidding.
Bro, no.
Look, I have a lot of connections. Tom Davis and I have actually worked together. So again, it depends on whether you know the person or not. But a lot of times it just comes in just direct. Like you just, hey, we did this recently, like trying to determine whether or not we wanted our quick pricer in front of credentials or behind credentials. That was a true business decision we had to make. And Tom was one of the people we reached out to and was like, hey, what was your thought process when you decided to do this? Like, how are you guys, are you pricing them on best tier, worst tier? You just sometimes have to just go be direct and just ask. And you know what? If they don't want to tell you, they'll just say, dude, I ain't telling you.
Yeah.
Punch them. And then you move on to the next person, right?
So punch them in the face with a question.
But I think if you have a style, again, and you're working with people that are generally interested in making the industry a better place for consumers at the end of the day, and in my business, it's TPO partners, right? But at the end of the day, there's a consumer on the end of that transaction, and that consumer is paying for something, right? So the more that we can act as one to some degree and get the things that are maybe not, capital-based decisions. They're things that just make an experience, right? We lead with the word experience at Logan. Mm-hmm. Like what do you want the experience to be? I don't want to hear, all this other stuff. Just tell me what you want it to be. And so when you reach out to those partners, look, a lot of them are just going to tell you the answer, especially if you don't fiddle fart around and you just be direct. And if they don't want to tell you, guess what? They don't have to tell you. Just move. Don't be discouraged and move on to the next person.
Find a new one.
That's
There's
right.
plenty of them out there.
There's plenty of people that are on the same page of what I'm talking about.
I agree. All right, Trisha, you're going to end it and we're going to close it. Ready?
All right.
Our viewer, maybe, if they're small, if they don't feel like they have much to offer other people, what's your advice? Like, what do you tell them? How do you tell them to look into that, to find something that bigger partner wants?
Yeah. Well, I think everybody does, right? Everyone has knowledge and, I'm sure TMC, MBA, same thing. We never discriminate based on size, based on origination volume. Everybody has, value. There's so many wise, seasoned professionals in our industry in all areas, whether it's leadership, sales, ops, technology, capital markets, everybody has something to offer to add. Yeah. And so really it's just our jobs to create these platforms, no matter how big, how small, really doesn't matter. Everybody has knowledge. So we don't believe that, and we make them not believe that because they always will bring value because of the knowledge that everybody possesses, truly.
I agree. I think we need to uplift and empower people more, Trisha.
Yep.
We need to get them, empower them and say, everybody has something to offer, right?
That's right.
Everyone. And no matter how big and small, and if you ask enough questions, if you get to know people well enough, they're going to find value in you. And if they don't, move on. There's better partners out there. That's just the way it works, right?
As Sarah would say, right? Keep going, move on.
Punch them in the face, keep going. No, I'm just kidding. We don't want no violence. Laura's listening. She's going to be like, you were violent the entire end, Matt.
Oh, well, Laura's so violent.
Yeah. She's like the sweetest thing in the world. So, all right, Tom, even though people could only see your face behind me, I'm going to call you my right-hand man for now on. All right. My right over my guardian angel over my shoulder. Thank you for joining, Trisha. As always, it was a pleasure. Sarah, thank you. I appreciate you, as you know. So thank you, everybody, for listening. 17 people are still sitting here 10 minutes later. So I guess we were slightly entertaining, or they walked away and were auto-playing in their office. I don't know which one it is. But thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. We're going to have another one coming.
Thank you.
To be announced shortly.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a
Talk to
great
everybody
day.
soon.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.